Hello, my name's Simon Brew, and this is Thoughts on the Blues. Now, it's an away game. Let's see how it panned out. Wait, Swansea City won, Birmingham City won? We didn't lose away from home? We went behind, we got back into it.
If you notice something out of the ordinary, speak to a member of staff or text us on 61016 and we'll get it sorted. That's 61016. See it, say it, sorted.
Back in a minute, I've got a phone call to make. Hello and welcome to Thoughts on the Blues. And not very miserable thoughts on the Blues, all the more staggering considering this is the second away game we've played on the bounce and we've not lost either of them. Now, in fairness, last week's was away at Cambridge, weren't expected to lose that. This was away at Swansea and yeah, I mean, whether we're expected to lose them or not, we've got bloody good at losing them. So, this one's got, let's keep things relatively tempered. It's got a reasonable ending, not yet a happy ending. But after the win at Coventry, after the away win at Cambridge, and now this, are we allowed to whisper that a corner might have been turned? Can we say that? Is it too early? I don't know. So, anyway, I ended up watching this one on Sky. And it's been a bit of a week, really, and a week where I had no idea who was going to, within certain parameters, who was going to turn up in the Blues team. And that Keshi Anderson suddenly leaves at the start of the week. Something's clearly happened there. Did a little short video on that. I was always a fan of Keshi Anderson, not his best season. Probably the best thing for both parties that they part ways, but it's just the abruptness of it. The chance we didn't get a chance to give him a farewell. Football is a ruthless business. There is the latest proof. Lyndon Dykes has also gone to wear the number 99 shirt at Charlton Athletic. I've got no beef with Lyndon Dykes. Not a scorer of lots of goals, a scorer of important goals. We all knew he was leaving. He's left. I think he goes with the goodwill of the vast majority of Blues fans. Mark Leonard, still not in the squad. Looks like he's going any day now. And then, just in the build-up to this game, a little bit too late, we only go and sign a player. We signed John Solis, who's joining us on loan for the start. On loan in the first instance. Apparently an option to buy, adding something to the midfield that's not been there for a little while. Let's just put it that way. Also, the loss of Robert Hopkins, which again, I talked about briefly in a short video. Hoppy played in the first game I ever went to see, and it happened to be his debut. Home to Notts County, Ron Saunders brought him off the bench. He was my favourite player when I was a kid, and it seems tragically unfair that he's not around, and I just reiterate thoughts very much with his friends and family, and what a loss, and thanks for everything you did for Blues. Home game against Stoke, he's getting a minute's applause. I suspect it will be a rapturous applause. I will be applauding, and hopefully we'll give the Hoppy song a bit of a workout as well. So, going into this, one of the things about, I've said this before, one of the things about watching a Blues game on Sky, especially when it's like not a red button one, it's like the main, I say the main event, like bottom half of the championship. They're queuing up on a Saturday night to watch this shit, I tell you. What was it, 14th versus 16th or something? I mean, the Radio Times would have cleared a double page spread in the magazine for that once upon a time. And so, but it means they do all that discussion beforehand. And I did think, it's going to be one of those when the panel in the studio was Luke Chambers, who seemed to contribute next to nothing, and the ex-Swansea manager. No one who'd even looked like they'd been near the Blues was in there. And then on co-commentary, and I like him as a co-commentator, probably more than I should. There's ex-Villa player Lee Hendry. It's just like, no, could you not get anyone from the Blues? Look, Sky, I'll do it. If you're up shit creek, just give me a call. I can sit there and just say, he should have got that. In fact, Lee Hendry at one point, do you remember the old Harry Enfield sketch, I don't believe he wanted to do that guy? It was, his co-commentating was a little bit that, didn't mean to do that. Didn't mean to, no shit, Lee. It's just like we've been watching this all season. They didn't mean to do half of that. Anyway. The squad, coming into it, the squad was looking thin. I don't think it'll be thin for long. Brightside Samuels coming back from the African Cup of Nations. We've got Solis, who presumably will be available for Tuesday. Rumours persist, another player coming in early next week. as always, believe it when I see it. And so there really weren't that many options when Chris Davies was filling in his team sheet. So it was a surprise to precisely no one, with Jack Robinson injured as well, to see Newman back in the team alongside Clara, Wagner and Iwata as the fullbacks, Doyle and Peck, the holding midfielders, and basically a repeat of Cambridge. Kumas, Dykes, Roberts, with Kyogo playing up top. The bright spark was the fact that Jay Stansfield was back on the bench. Lots of talk about how he'd been, just carrying this knock for a while and still playing on. Also, Scott Wright on the bench. Now, I shouldn't start at the end, but I mean, what a tease. I don't know whether it was like a practical joke or something for him, but Scott Wright has been out for a year. 92 minutes. He's on his feet, stripped, ready to come on. And, the poor bloke's had to work his way back for a year to get to this point, to stand up away at Swansea in the 92nd minute. Just stand and watch there on the sidelines in his kit while the referee blows the final whistle. It's like us in the stands with a replica shirt. It was a bit like that. On the plus side, it is lovely to see Scott Wright back. And I hope that he has his energy and his pace and he's coming back the player that he was. Plus 10%, and I think we'll come to Lewis Kumas in a bit, but you see what happens when players get 2 or 3 consecutive starts and how they tend to improve. And so I hope that for Scott Wright. I hope he gets a good crack at this, and I really, really hope it works out. I should note that today's goal of the day from a player who's played in a blue shirt was Erin Cashin. Did you see this? 3 minutes into his home league debut for Blackburn, and it wasn't his home, he was away, wasn't it? But his league debut for Blackburn, he scores a goal. Congratulations. Go and look it up. I mean, yeah, Blackburn fans, we understand. He improved for us by the end, but we understand. So, as always, this is any Swansea fan. I can't imagine a Swansea fan would have come along to this after a 1-1 draw on a Saturday night. If you do, thank you so much for the click. This isn't for you. You're very welcome. Lots of love, blah, blah, blah. Now, sod off. Now, the Swansea game, the reverse game, starting there, where was rubbish, wasn't it? The home game where we won thanks to a Lyndon Dykes header right at the end of the game after a really drab match where you're just like, oh, this isn't good. This is slow and miserable and blah, blah, blah. And so Swansea have changed managers and our team looks quite different to the team that lined up that day. Now, Sky, in the build-up to a match, have got this little thing now. Just before, when they were on their 94th ad break in the build-up to a match, I think the last one, they showed the players warming up, but they do it in slow motion, as if it's like a Hollywood, it's a Fast and Furious movie or something like that. So I'm watching the Blues players train in slow motion, and for a split second, I just thought it was watching the Watford game again. It was... Therein sort of lies the problem. We've had an away win. We've had a really encouraging win at home to Coventry, but I had no idea what I was going to get here. And I hoped after the Coventry game that would be a turning point game. And I came away after the Cambridge one, got the result. I didn't necessarily think it was a turning point game after all, but still. And so my expectation was we were probably going to lose. My old style Blues fan was like, I hope we don't lose in the same way we lost to Watford. I hope we battle and get something. And I just thought anything we get out of it will be such an improvement on the last umpteen away league games that I'll take it. Even the away league games we've taken points out of recently, Albion being what I mean, was it Albion? I'm sure there was another one. And it was just like, go back to Wrexham as well. It's just like for large parts we were just bossed off the pitch. And then we just nabbed to draw. And I just wanted an improvement. I wanted us to be faster. I wanted us not to concede early. I don't know. I wanted Dwayne Johnson to come and cameo in one of these videos. We don't always get what we want, do we? So it starts though. And I mean, it was just a fairly tepid game for a while. That it looked like what it was to my eyes, which was a game between two teams who should be doing better, who happen to find themselves in the bottom half of the championship. And you could see signs from both of why they should be doing better, and also signs of why they're in the bottom half of the championship. Passing to your own teammate, things like that. These little luxuries that we got spoilt with a lot last season, they're phasing in and out a little bit. And also, I mean, I did think our team missed the energy of... how many times over the last few weeks have you thought, bloody hell, Damari Gray or something would make mincemeat out of this lot? Or if we had Stano pressing up there, we get some... And there's just a frustration that we're playing teams who we know we've got the personnel in our ranks that we could do more with, but for whatever reason, they ain't playing. And instead, what we got in the early stages of this was a really nice competition, actually, for Sky viewers on a Saturday evening of who can kick the ball highest in the air. And it was like going back to watching like 1990s championship. I know it wasn't called the championship then, but when we were marooned in the league for a period of time in the Trevor Francis 60-yard, not so targeted pass era, I would suggest. And I mean, it was just going up. And it came down. We went up, and then it came down, and then what? They sliced through us with... I think it only took 3-4 minutes before they sliced through us with... it just looked like a quick switch ball to the other side. And you're just like, oh, okay, this is now looking a bit more Cambridge than Coventry, isn't it? I know... At no point did I think it was Watford level. At no point did I think it was QPR level. Go back to the QPR game. We were dreadful for 89 minutes. No, 86 minutes. Then we were good for 5 minutes. Then we were dreadful for another couple of minutes. At no point did we go to that level, I don't think. I do think performance-wise, this was an improvement. And in fact, I think a couple of players on our team sheet had arguably their best games. I'll come to that shortly. But I still think we were treating it... I mean, it looked more like the slightly laboured team that played Cambridge last week. It didn't look like a team that had a week off. I know they've not had a week off. I know they've been training, but not had a match in a week. This is the start of like a 3-match week. You know, most of us are looking at thinking, can we get 6 points? Can we get 4? Can we get a point? Can we get some? So 2 away games that looked less hard than the ones we've been playing. Although Sky happily chucks all these facts at you, just like, yeah, they win all their home games. We find out they played Oxford. They haven't. What was it? They haven't conceded. An opposition player hasn't scored on this ground since November. It's like as if that's 3 years ago. It's just like it's 5 games or something, isn't it? It's only November. We're in January. But they like throwing stuff like that. Oh yeah, the one they were particularly proud of was how many miles we've gone round the country to try and get an away win. It's just like, great, you've got Google Maps too. Excellent. Have you had to watch all the matches? We have. Anyway, not much happening early doors. Dykes had that like kind of turn and swing shot that kind of went well. I thought actually that was quite good. That the intent early on seemed to be to just shoot when you got the chance. But I mean, it wasn't, but for a couple of joyful minutes early on, it certainly looked that way. Then, I'm looking at my notes, just like the first 10 minutes, and it's just like, I'm writing down things like, Swansea fans seem to think everything is handball. There was a lot of that, handball, right? They had the guy on the side, Eom, who I thought very early in the game was causing us all sorts of trouble down the wing, and then sort of like drifted out the game. It's like we got his number a little bit. If only we got the number of the chap the other side, we'd have been laughing. But, fairly straightforward shot. A Beadle comes in the first 10 minutes, just takes it, that's fine. Kyogo takes too long on the ball and he's knocked off it. Yeah, that's okay, it's fine. A corner that results in like a shot, and a shot from Roberts that's kind of not a great shot, but it's a corner, good corner, fine. And, lots of little bits that, had we not sat through every Blues away performance for the last like couple of months, would have given any other team encouragement. We're just sat there, just sat there waiting for it. Yes, we're playing all right here. They're playing all right. There's 2 teams giving you 6 out of 10. It's okay. Doyle, quite busy the first 15 minutes. Their keeper drops a corner early on as well. I was like, oh, we got a flappy hands. I bet we don't send too many crosses in to kind of test that out. But then what became like clear is, I don't know, that Kai Wagner, right? He's been with the Blues for 3 matches now, and now he's a Blues player. First game against Coventry, great. Sets up a goal straight away. 9 out of 10 performance. Cheered off the pitch, rightly so. Second game away at Cambridge, 7 out of 10 performance. Deflected shot in, gets a goal, great. This one, hate to say it, he looked like a player who hadn't done as much training, and he's been open about this, as much training as the rest of them over the last few months. That he was the vulnerability that it was Franco, wasn't it? Was constantly going at. I thought down the left-hand side for a lot of the game, we looked quite weak, and it was more because of Wagner than Lewis Koumas. Lewis Koumas, by contrast, so this week his stay at Birmingham looks like it's been temporarily extended, that the announcement came out that Liverpool and Birmingham have reached an agreement over Lewis Koumas. Just like, oh, I'll click on this. What's this? He's either going back or he's staying. The answer is neither. We've just extended the period by which we can make our minds up. And so basically, had we signed this winger that fell through, was it Manamana? Mana? I mean, I was so looking forward to singing Manamana. There's one person who watches these videos who likes Muppet songs. You leave me comments down there. It's just like, I had them all lined up and then the transfer falls through. Had that transfer not fallen through, Lewis Koumas will be in Liverpool now. As it happens, he's now had, is it his third consecutive start? Now, boy, can you tell the difference. And I wonder this with people like Mark Leonard as well, who coming on and expected to make an impact in half an hour, or then he gets 60 minutes of a match. Koumas has had, I've not been particularly up on Koumas this season. I don't think most fans have. But I thought against Coventry, got that goal. Great. Took it well. Cambridge, it's fine. Here, I think he had his best match for us. Now, I think it was, a 7, 8 out of 10 performance. There was still a couple of bits, but if you're looking for a trajectory of improvement, look at Lewis Koumas in this match, because now every 50-50 usually I see him go for, I expect him to lose. Here he was coming out on top of a couple. Then when I get him to when he gets to the byline, has to put a ball in, I think pretty much every time the cross is either cut out or goes too far. He played a couple of cracking passes here, and I mean, full applause to him. He's taken his chance here. He is improving. Ironically, probably at the point we're about to get rid of him. I still question whether the Championship is his league at the moment. A year in League One, I suspect, might do him the world of good. But there's a better player in there that we've seen today than we have for most of the season, and absolutely all power to him. Complete respect. He's had to, presumably go on social media and stuff, see people not particularly impressed. I thought he was one of our better players today. His best performance in a blue shirt. Apart from the corner that came in where he punched it out as well, and it was a good punch in fairness, I also thought, another slightly maligned player, this was James Beadle's best performance in a blue shirt. The goal that we conceded, coming to in a second, I thought he had a really good go at getting that out, actually. He came perilously close to being able to stop it. A couple of really good saves, and also crucially, this is the bit I think most of us have been crying out for. There are a couple of moments, not least right at the end of the game, when the ball's pumped into the box and he comes and gets it, and I'm looking at him just like, you're actually going to catch that, aren't you? And he catches it and he releases it fast. Now, there were slight downsides. I thought playing out from the back, Swansea did an absolute number on us. Tommy Doyle lost the ball a lot of times, I think, today, was pressed and led to chances. But another player having his best performance in a blue shirt for a while, I think, was Phil Neumann. Now, Clara was immense. Clara is a tank. It just marauds down the pitch. Great. God love you, Clara. Neumann's like... It's been bumpy, hasn't it, his Blues career? Jack Robinson looks like he might be out for a little while. No one's saying how long. But Neumann's come in, got in a couple of really good blocks. Then there was a bit where their winger gets down the wing, gets past, I think got past Wagner again. And Neumann's gone and shepherded him and really stuck to him. And the guy just can't get a decent delivery in. I'm just like, you've come in for some criticism of late, and that is a response. It's not showy. It's nothing faffy or something like that. It's just a really good 8, 9 out of 10 performance. I thought he was really good today. My man of the match for us, I think, is Iwata, who worked his socks off. I'd like it if he got past his man once or twice, but still, again, his heat map. I mean, you may as well just pour some red paint on a piece of paper, hold it up to the Sky camera and say, I've done some posh statistics. They love stuff like that. But he was, anyway, I'm digressing. There was the bit, so we're what, 15 minutes into the game, something like that. Swansea have the corner that Beadle punches out. We break really quickly off that corner, actually. Kumas is through, gets bundled off. You're just like, this might now emerge into the usual pattern, you know, and you get Doyle, who's shepherded off the ball 30 yards from goal, and you're just like, oh. And then we get to the 21st minute. They should have just put on Sky before, because all they were banging on about was Vipotnik, and all the goals he scores, and isn't he great, and blah blah blah. Yeah, I mean. So the problem here, it's really weird goal to rewatch, because Kai Wagner, it's down to Wagner really, who doesn't cut the ball out. And it looks to me he's either doing one of two things: that he's trying to play offside, which it's not, or he just doesn't spot the runner coming for him, thinks the ball's going to come to him, and he's got the time to clear it out. Clearly doesn't. They're through. Bang the balls in. Paul Neumann's got no chance of stopping that. It's a great cross. The shot's from about 6 yards out. Beadle spreads himself, and Beadle, when he spreads himself, is not a small man. I think he gets a touch on it as well, doesn't he? 1-0. You're just like, oh, where? I mean, I was like, where did that come from? But we know where that came from, because we've been watching. It's like watching the repeats on telly at Christmas. We know where it came from, because it's happening I mean, opposition managers. You remember when Leicester played us earlier in the season, and they were the first ones, I think, to really suss us out. It's just like, there's nothing to suss here, and they worked out which wing to attack. Attacked it relentlessly. Worked out Wagner was better up that bit of the pitch today than down that one, and the number of times they got free down the left is a concern. Alex Cochrane might have been watching that thinking, I might get back into this team after all, just on the defensive side of it. It just, yeah. Then, I mean, you talk about turning points of games. So, we come up to what? It's nearly half an hour in. Kyogo's been quiet. Dykes had one or two moments. Haven't seen much of Roberts. And Kumas, again, the one of like the front four who's the busiest, who seems to be seeing the ball the most. And then they get that effort. They manage to get into our box again. And Beadle's save. He's tipping the ball onto the bar, right? Remember going back to the Watford game? And I think I told the story there. Like, there's a bloke. I'm Hales Owen, Hales Owen Supporters Club. There's a bloke on the thing there just said, in the Watford game, we'll be 2-0 down by half time, we'll lose by 3-0. That was your turning point moment. Beadle, that is a great save. That is a great save. Tips it onto the bar, and you know, we're having this 5-10 minute period where we're rocking again, and you just think, oh God, a second goal before half time, and we're out of this, and we're playing really deep. We're not getting the ball out of our half. Kyogo's getting nothing up the top. I think by the time they substituted him, he touched the ball 8 times, and one of those, well, let's just say he should have touched it 9 times, but again, we'll come to that. We kept looking weak with the ball, you know, and it was only, I mean, just games of stop the cross, just stop the cross. I mean, that would, yeah. I did think, like, 10 minutes till half time, it was barely worth putting paint on the other side of the pitch. You could have just saved, like, I appreciate we have to swap sides, but for the first half, it was just mainly being played just in our half. Any attempt to get it out, we had 2 ways of getting it out. One was to hoof it over the top. Yeah, that came back. The other was to play it out from the back, and they were just snapping at us so fast, closing us down. Neither of them worked. It's, in fact, the only things that seemed to be going was when we took a run at them. I mean, that's why I was delighted to see Scott Wright on the bench again. But we just ran at them and just tried to get past the man and then drive into their half, because when we're doing the long ball, that weren't working. And yeah, eventually they played out from the back work, but not before they'd given us the heebie-jeebies a couple of times. But then, you know, it just like, it looked like it was going the same way. And I don't think, I was thinking, Wagner, this isn't good so far. Kumas was still winning his battles. And in terms of effort, I don't think anyone, outside of Iwata, I don't think anyone put in more. But it's just like a bit hoofball until we just like decided we were going to like start playing. And then we just did this great move just before half time. And this really fast cross, was it Patrick Roberts or Iwata who zipped in this really fast cross? And we all look up, and Kyogo's on the end of it. And it just, I mean, last week was false hope, wasn't it? And I mean, it's just through his legs. Now, before that, a little while before, Kumasa cut in and could have played the ball across to Kyogo, who would have been 2 yards out from goal. Kumas decides to do the more difficult thing of cut it back to Dykes. And I sort of get it. I know the Sky people were just like, why has he done that? I was just like, I can show you, but I sort of get it. Kyogo in the right place, but again, you got to put it away. You've got to put it away. You've got to put it away. Can you imagine if we'd gone in at 1-1? As it turned out, I thought on balance, it was like they'd worked harder than us in the first half. We were still in the game. That was crucial. And how many away games have we not been in at half time? We were still in it, but it just like when the Sky people were trying to say nice things about us, I've said this before, it was like my PE school report. Brew tries hard. It's just like, just tell me I'm the fat kid at school and I'm crap at PE. I can cope with that. But no, they always use it. He tries hard, which is code for he's crap. And no, I get it. No substitutions at half time. Unusually, an anonymous referee as well. And I think, in fairness to him, and look, we've aimed pelters at referees here over the last God knows how long. In fairness to him, I barely noticed him. There was the thing where people kept going down because like the ball had hit their head. And Swansea had twice, didn't they? Someone in the penalty area, ball had hit their head hard and they had to check the head injury. All fine, but then they get a defensive drop ball so they can clear it out. And on one of those, we were in a better position. You're just like, oh, but I know you sort of have to suck that up. Then we get, I mean, there was still bits early in the second half where you're just like, oh, it's a little bit too easy, this. But then Tommy Doyle starts taking corners properly, and the Swansea keeper, who was it, Vigoro? The way that twice he had to do it, and Doyle is swinging these corners in. I was just like, I didn't know we could do that. Where do you press that button? Press that button again. Press that button again. Refresh. And I mean, it looked like our team weren't expecting it either. Doyle nearly gets it in. It's clawed out. There's no one really on it to kind of pounce on that a little bit. And I think Doyle had an up and down game, to be honest. I thought he had some promising moments of attack. He gave the ball away a fair amount. This was one of those games as well. Well, how long does it take Kai Wagner to take a throw in? And then a couple of times, did he throw it to Dykes and Dykes just heads it out? It's just like, earlier in the season, we kept doing like weird foul throws and stuff like that. Can we sort throw-ins out? I didn't think throw-ins were tricky. Well, they let us do them underarm or something like that, just so we can get back into the habit of them. Because if we do them right, they're weapons. Our attacking throw-in is really good, usually, where you get someone just on the dead ball line, knowing they can't be offside, and it causes them a problem. But we're just taking ages. It's just like, straight back out. Now, couple of bits of moments then, where you're just like, I allowed myself to sit there and just say, we might get back into this, you know. We're not being steamrolled here. Hang on, have we had anyone sent off? We've not had anyone sent off. This is okay. And I thought we were playing, I don't think we were playing great, but I thought we were playing pretty decent. I mean, I figured at half time it was still a bit crap, but it was better. As the second half went on, considering like there were barely any options on the bench, Stansfield warming up a lot, but you know, a 75% fit Stansfield clearly, otherwise he would have started it. Barely any options on the bench, and so what we had on the pitch was pretty much going to be it. And I just thought, we're getting into this. And there were a couple of people who were putting in the shifts. I thought Clara and Newman were. Iwata very much. I'm a huge fan of Peck. I thought he was anonymous here. I gave away a foul or two, one or two decent passes. It's the game. I can't remember a game where I thought he looked less comfortable on the ball, actually. I say that as a big Peck fan. 56 minutes anyway. Off comes Kyogo. On comes Stansfield. Gets a chance fairly early on, but it's a little bit of a rusty Stansfield, I think. Touch took him away. Couple of little moments, but he's offering more sparks up front. You're just like, oh, okay. And then we're sort of playing decent football, but then knowing that Swansea could just go up the other end and hit the woodwork. The weirdest one of which was when they sort of had, we almost stood still waiting for a free kick while they were just like, oh, cheers, whacked it, hit the frame of the upright, hit the corner of it, didn't it? And they had a couple of moments. They had that one header as well, which was like Jack Robinson's a couple of weeks ago, where it just, was it against Derby? He headed it and it bounced down. And just like, that might bounce over the line there. Didn't, but they were testing us. On the whole, on the whole, certainly down the centre, at the centre of our defence, I thought we looked all right, vulnerable down the left side. Still, then then just at the point where I'm like thinking, oh, I wonder where this is going, we really have that period of play where we start to probe them. And I mean, they keep cutting to Chris Davis on the bench, chewing gum, looking like a man who's got no more bullets available for this particular fight. Looking at a bench, there's Scott Wright, who's not played for a year. He's put Stansfield on, taking Kyogo off. You've got Willemsen, who's not put in a particularly good performance this season, blighted by injury, and he knew he didn't have that many options. I mean, there was one shot that, I mean, it was still going forward. I mean, there's the one bit where Clara just hooks it over the top, and Dykes just about misses contact with it. He had an air kick shot at one point as well. Dykes was just about involved. I think he was slightly better than Kyogo, neither of which looked, in the end, like they were going to particularly impact the game. Spoiler, they didn't impact the game really either. I think Dykes put in a slightly better shift than Kyogo. Taken off for Willemsen with 5-6 minutes left. I don't think Willemsen did an awful lot. There's one bit where he's going down the wing where he looks surprised that he'd still got the ball. And he did much wrong. Don't think he made much impact, but that's what happens when you come on as a very, very late sub. But we were starting to ask questions. Kumas was winning more and more battles. Wagner then seemed to me to be coming forward more than he was in the first half. Well, the ball was more in their half in the second half than we'd ever managed it in the first. And I mean, a couple of years ago, this would have been like the bit where you're just like, oh God, they're going to bring Scott Hogan on or something like that. And so I'm very conscious of how this team has evolved. But we start playing this football, and what was it, 71, 72 minutes. Wagner comes down the left again, starting to get, but Swansea are tiring. I thought we were tiring more. I think most of the time this season we've looked fitter than most teams that we're playing. This is the first one where I think we started to look a bit knackered early, just out of just like we've put in a lot of work. We've got a lot of under 21s on the bench, and if they didn't come off the bench when we were playing Cambridge and 3-1 up with 10 minutes left, they ain't going to come on for this. And so Wagner comes down. Some of his passing into the box is incredibly smart. I wasn't massively impressed with his defending today. His forward play, far more so. Doesn't just lump across in. He's looking for someone. Finds someone in this case. Dykes just this delightful back heel. Roberts looked like the chance had gone away. Fought, got it, smashed it in. Top of the goal. 1-1. After that point, it just looked all blue all red for a little bit. And it's just like, we might even win this at this rate. You know, we suddenly it's just like that. It's not actually, that's unfair. It wasn't sudden. I thought the attitude today was far more in tune. I didn't think we wilted, even when we went behind. I think we wobbled. I don't think we wilted. But we just looked a bit more up for it, buoyed by the two matches we've just had. And so you get Kumas and Kumas winning the ball, trying to put Stansfield through. Neumann flying in to get in another block. Another Doyle corner as well. We're absolutely clawed out. But then they have, Swansea then just out of the blue just managed to slice us open really easily. And this is what I mean by, like, it's a bottom half of the championship game, where you can see both why they should be up there and also why they're down there. Because I think both teams, when you pushed really hard at them, didn't have that many answers, actually. When we actually started pressing Swansea, apart from their keeper who looked quite assured, we started to force them to make faster and not always accurate decisions. They hit the bar from that head. They hit the bar from the header, towards the end. They had that corner where it just sort of bounced down, went over the top. Iwata still running his absolute heart out. And I mean, the only fear, the fear I had going into the last 5-10 minutes, I think most of us were at if we get a point out of this is an improvement. We have stopped the rot away from home then. But that fear of what happened with QPR and our ball retention going to as we headed towards the end of the game, I didn't think was particularly great, and there were a few. But then you get another moment. Kumas played the full match, does a spin shot just like holds off his man, gets drags a shot wide, but like a couple of minutes to go, he's still like going at them. Stansfield sort of gets through at one stage. God, I haven't even mentioned the one where Stansfield is put through and you look like he's about to score and this incredible tackle comes in. And it's what I mean about him being a little bit rusty. It's just like you just wonder if he was at full fitness, would he have just snapped? But even so, his movement to get into that position, the ball was delicious. And some of the football we played in the midst of an okay, pretty good game, I thought was really good. Some of it really sloppy, but in terms of performance level and what we're capable of, an improvement. And without doubt, an improvement. So, I mean, it sort of petered out a little bit. Both teams sort of wanted it. Then you had the bit where Scott Wright is up. And I'm sorry, Scott Wright. They shouldn't have done that to you. I know he didn't do it deliberately, but this is what you wanted for a year. It's there, it's there, it's there. Can't have it. It's blown the whistle. And we've come off this 1-1 away from home. So we've got, I mean, factually, we've got a point away from home from a team in the bottom half of the Championship. So it's all right, isn't it? It's all right. Swansea will be disappointed they didn't win it. We're going to be the happier of the two teams with the point. We've taken 4 points off Swansea this season as well. We're not going to do that against many teams, given how some of the away games have gone. But for us, it's a bit more than the result, this one. It is proof of a couple of things. Number one, when we inevitably go behind first away from home, it doesn't have to be game over. In fact, some teams don't go behind first at home. when they're away from home. I did sit watching it as well, thinking, why are all these other teams slightly better at the things we're trying to do than we are? But then we sort of improved into that a little bit. And then, I mean, Patrick Roberts, smashing goal. Huge round of applause. He missed the one earlier by just too high. Ironically, the goal he scored, the reason he scored it was high as well. Patrick Roberts, another good important goal. He's having to do a lot of work without Gray on the other side. But yeah, I mean, I'm not miserable. We've played an away game and I'm not miserable. And I'm not scared. Well, I'm relatively scared. I'm not scared to have a look on social media to see what people are saying about it. And yeah, I mean, we've got, by the time we get to Sheffield Wednesday in the middle of the week, we'll have a new midfielder in. Stansfield might be a bit more fit. We might have a player back. We might have Brighter Samuel on the bench. We might have another signing coming through. Who knows? Coventry had to be a turning point. You cannot beat the league leaders like that and then just like peddle it away with your away games. I thought today was, in a nice, boring way, important. It's important for the mentality. It was important for the result. It was important to prove that points are available away from home as well, and Birmingham City are capable of getting them. There are 2 more games coming up in the week ahead. Away at Sheffield Wednesday, then home to Stoke City. This season is likely to be a mid-table season. That's what it looks like, doesn't it? Right? We are currently 14th place. We are 8 points off the playoffs. And we are 8 points off the relegation places. We are slap bang in the middle. Next 2 games, Blues, it's up to you. Which way do you want to go? Because, as we've seen this season, you're capable of going that way, you're capable of going that way. This might be one of those, like, turning point moments in the season that Coventry sent out a statement. Cambridge, we had to grind it out against the League 2 team. We got a point out of this when, like most of us a month or 2 ago, wouldn't, once we went behind, just would have like got our coats. Metaphorically, I know we'd have sat and watched it. So, is this it? It's the hope that kills you. It's always the hope that kills you. We'll have a better idea by the middle of the week. Keep right on.